This is Yeheb. Yeheb is in the pea family, so this is like a little bean pod, not unlike like a snow pea. This is a fruit that I was not aware of. I didn't know about this fruit until somebody sent it to me in the mail. And I'm guessing a lot of people watching right now also were not aware of Yeheb. However, Yeheb is very, very important. So why is it important? Well, this is native to the Horn of Africa. It grows in Somalia, parts of Ethiopia, Somaliland. It grows in areas that are very dry and not really a good place for other forms of vegetation. This plant is highly drought resistant. And because of that, and because this also is packed full of nutrition, there's a lot of starches and proteins and fats in here, it gives food to people in an area where there is not a lot of food. So where people are hungry, this is literally a lifesaver. So if we pop one of these open, there is a little seed inside, and that is the part that people typically eat. Besides these seeds though, the leaves also can be used. People make a tea out of it that's supposed to have certain health benefits to it. And the leaves also produce a red pigment, and that pigment can be used to make a natural dye. The bad news though is that Yeheb is a vulnerable species, and that is because this plant has been overutilized. People cut them down to make fuel. The plant is often eaten by animals, and sometimes they overgraze on it. Somalia is one of the main areas where this grows, and unfortunately Somalia has we had a lot of war in Somalia, and that has also affected plants there. So because of that, there is not nearly as much of the Yeheb out in this part of the world as there used to be, even though it's something that people greatly need. Also, Yeheb for a long time was something that was just growing in the wild. This was a plant that people would forage for, but it wasn't domesticated up until just recently. Now people have a way of domesticating it. It is being done, and there is even an initiative right now called the Yeheb Project that is working towards restoring populations of Yeheb plants. So that is a really, really good thing. And I believe they're looking for donations and stuff. So if you want to learn more about it, I'll put a link to them below. So that's why these are so important, but let's talk about it. There is not a lot of information about this plant itself. I don't see any videos on YouTube of people actually eating this thing. So let's document it. Let's find out what the Yeheb actually tastes like, how we can make something out of it, and yeah, we're gonna have a good time. And by the way, this was sent to me by Nat. And Nat actually has a chocolate company in Hawaii called Madre Chocolate. If you want to try some really cool chocolate that's made with really interesting ingredients and sometimes very interesting types of cacao, go to Madre Chocolate. And Nat, thank you very much. These Yeheb are raw, okay? And typically when you want to eat these, you need to either dry them out, boil them, or roast them. Some sources online say that you can eat them, raw, but also they're supposed to contain a compound that can give you nausea. So I think it's probably not a great idea to eat a ton of these raw. But for science, I'm gonna give it a nibble. Let's see. Ah, okay. What's happening there? Okay, learning things as we go. Yeheb has a shell. See that? So when I took a bite out of this, that shell popped off. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get some of this shell off and show you what it looks like. And let's see if I can do that without losing a finger. I'm not cutting towards myself, I'm just kind of scraping it. It's not super easy to get the shell off of this, at least not when it's raw. Yes, I am making a mess. Okay, there we go. So it looks kind of like a peanut when you open it up. Little misshapen, large peanut. But one thing that's interesting about it is that it's hollow. You see like how kind of scooped in they both are, both sides of it are. So when these are together, there's actually like a little hollow space in there. It actually tastes really good. Even raw, that tastes nice. It is, most notably, it's very sweet. The sweetness on that is like a 3 out of 10. It's much higher than a lot of nuts. I can't actually think of another nut that is that sweet. Maybe the star nut, which I had when I was in Africa, which is not called star nut, it's called something else that I can't pronounce. But that one was also sweet. But yeah, surprisingly sweet. And the flavor is a little bit like almond, a little bit like chestnut, and a little bit like a raw peanut. And it's pretty good. I am actually tempted to eat more of those, but I'm going to stop myself because it does contain a compound that can make you sick. So let's prepare these. I'm going to try to boil them, and I'm going to try to roast them and see if that changes the flavor. Okay, so some of these, as you can see, have 1 seed in them, and other ones are bigger and they have 2 seeds in them, like so. And I'm going to take all the shells off. And half of these are going to go in a pot of boiling water, and the other half is going to go into the oven at 350 degrees until they look like they're done. And by the way, all of this is completely random. I have no idea what I'm doing, so wish me luck. I just heard a couple of the Yeheb nuts detonate in there. Just heard some loud pops. So I'm guessing that they are done. I'm gonna very cautiously take them out. Maybe I'll give it a minute. So these seeds popped open rather violently, and in fact you could see one right here, like halfway from like shooting out of the outer bit. That's crazy. Okay, so first let's try a roasted Yeheb nut. Very crunchy. It's kind of dry. It's really good. The flavor of that is nice and sweet. It's not tasting so much like chestnut and peanut anymore, but the almond is coming out. It actually reminds me of like an almond cereal, because there's like a grainy taste coming out, like actually it tastes kind of like Honey Nut Cheerios. That's what that tastes like. Yeah, Honey Nut Cheerios with almonds. Okay, so we've got a boiled one. Yeah, the outer bit did get quite a bit softer. It's very leathery feeling after it's taken some of that water in. So it looks kind of like a boiled peanut to me, but it's a little tacky, like a little like waxy feeling. Huh. So this is weird. It tastes different. It tastes very different than the roasted one. It tastes more like chestnut with a little bit of almond. And that's crazy. The fact that you can have a nut that in its raw state, roasted state, and boiled state, it gives you 3 very different sort of flavors. That's pretty interesting. And all flavors are good. In the area that this grows, unfortunately, you know, a lot of the population has been diminished, but it's in demand. It's not just a survival sort of food, it's a food that people like. And I can see why. This is very, very tasty. It's also very nutritious, and it's something that can survive in an inhabitable sort of zone. Even without knowing the importance of this plant in the Horn of Africa, without even knowing that, I can see the value in it just by eating it. It tastes nutritious. I can taste the fat and the protein in there. It tastes like something that is very filling and very good for you. And hopefully with the efforts of the Yeheb project and it being more widely domesticated now, hopefully this will start spreading again in this part of the world. So I think that's all I have to say about the Yeheb. Thank you once again to Nat over at Madre Chocolate for sending this to me. And guys, if you want to try some really interesting chocolate, go check out Nat's website. And also check out the Yeheb project. You know, honestly, I just stumbled across this when I was researching this episode, but it seems like a really, really good thing. So thank you very much, and I will see you all next time. I would like to give a big shout out to Smarter Every Day, Loftyrex, and JMac. They are mega patrons over on patreon.com. Patreon, I'm sure you've heard about it, but basically it is how I can afford to go on all the adventures that I go on this channel and how I buy all the fruit that I buy. So if you are interested in supporting the channel, check out the link in the description below. Another way to help out is by going to my website. My website has all my videos organized into categories, which is pretty cool, and I also have t-shirts for sale over there. So check it out, and I will see you all next time.